And then it was sort of like a giddy orgasm. It was like a little giggly bubbles, like champagne, you know. I could equate it to a champagne orgasm would be what I would call it, like bubbles moving through my body, and I know my face would get flushed. I would feel myself get hot, like I was blushing.
Prior to ejaculating, the feeling that I get is really, really amazing. It's almost like a pressure that you feel in your body, but a pleasurable pressure. And my body gets really, really tingly. You know, like, how can I describe it? Like somebody's taking feathers and, you know, going all over your skin, and you know, how tingly your body gets. I mean, my body's starting to tingle just thinking about it. Like, you know, the shivers up your spine kind of feel, but the pleasurable experience of that. It's kind of like that, you know?
Position is also really important. Sometimes I like to be like, my ass is just straight up in the air, my feet are up, and so I'm actually ejaculating onto myself, which is really fun. You know, it gets in my mouth, it's all over the place. And then standing up is fun, kneeling, something where your pelvis is more straight. You can get more angle on your G-spot.
Because you have this build up, and it's just building up, and it's building up, and your body starts like getting all tingly, and you start feeling the pressure, and then all of a sudden the release, and you're just, I mean, it's absolutely amazing, and all I can do is just fuck.
Knowledge is the most important thing. Just knowing that women can ejaculate and that that's a normal part of our sexuality is helpful for both partners. Partners, the women who ejaculate, male or female, really love it, think it's hot and sexy and want to see it again and again. And I've been doing Tantra teaching for women and couples, and it's amazing how many couples come to me and they still don't know where the G-spot is, or if it even exists. And there's been a lot of talk about the G-spot, and you would think people would now know more about it, but it's still talked about as this mysterious zone.
I felt like I was in the red tunnel. I had a lot of kind of soft, red feelings, like I'm in this red tunnel. And it definitely had a rush to my head through my body. Through the stimulation. A few times I felt I was so close to ejaculation, but I wasn't quite ready. A lot of women don't get to have the pleasure of G-spot orgasm or ejaculation because it's difficult for them to focus on their own pleasure and what feels good.
As we know, in bodywork, we hold emotional traumas in the muscles of our body, and when that's worked on in massage, we can release those pent-up emotions and release those tight, tense muscles, and our body's restored to health again. It doesn't hurt anymore. Our muscles feel freer. We feel lighter emotionally. So guess where sexual trauma is held in the body? My theory is it's held in the G-spot, and that's why it's numbed out in many women.
I do massage, and I believe that we store emotions and ideas all over our body, but this is such a core center of who we are, including me. A lot of people have a lot of traumas that are sexual, and that if they had, that's where it would be stored. So by learning how to stimulate the G-spot and release the energy that's there, they can be more connected with their sexuality.
Once the woman has had a few of those massages, is beginning to recognize the pleasure, and is doing her Kegels, what happens is this synthesis in the mind-body connection where you literally know your whole interior topography. I can feel I can feel the top of my, where my cervix is. I can pull my uterus by just doing a few Kegels. I can feel the whole inside of my vagina or yoni. I can feel my G-spot, I can feel my clitoris on the outside. So what happens for a woman when she knows her inner topography, she can advocate for herself much faster for pleasure.
Kind of peaking, almost feeling like you need to urinate is what it can feel like. And it's almost like to the point of where you get so built up and then there's this huge release. And unfortunately, like some women, myself, sometimes I'm embarrassed about it because it can cause a lot of wetness, especially if I catch someone off guard and have one of these where you're squirting across the room, which can happen. I'm not thinking when I'm in that moment, so I don't even, I'm so ensconced in my body and what my body sensations are that I don't even think about what I'm feeling, so that after the fact, I can't describe it. It's really hard for me to put language around it because it is such an intense experience, and I'm not in my head at the moment.
Ejaculation is a full body and spiritual orgasm. You know, it goes beyond any type of orgasm I have ever experienced. It's the most intense.
I see it as an evolution of women's sexuality, for sure. I see it as revolutionary and an evolution of sexuality, which is really what makes it so powerful.
It's possible that two separate physical paths exist that allow a clitoral or a penile orgasm or a prostatic orgasm, whether it's a female prostate or a male prostate, to happen. They can feel different to people. Some women say that a G-spot orgasm feels deeper somehow. Often women say that a clitoral orgasm is more electric feeling.
I'll go from crying to laughing, depending upon where the breath is. So when that starts releasing, I start releasing tears as well. And the laughter, and then the tears, and the laughter, and the tears, and it's almost a maniacal release that I cannot control.
Crying orgasms typically stem from G-spot stimulation, which tends to produce an experience within the body throughout the whole body, the sensations, versus the clitoral orgasm tends to be very localized. But it is important to help our partners understand that it's not a sadness. You didn't make me sad, because I often hear that from men. If, you know, my partner starts crying after she's had this really intense orgasm, and I thought I was doing everything right. And it's really just the emotional release.
It'll go from this really intense, like, ha ha ha, to, ha, and I cannot duplicate it because it's just this like overpowering, really powerful wave that washes over me. And I was actually, one of the first times I experienced it was in a classroom setting where I was getting G-spot healing done. And the woman working on me, she was just amazing, like completely fantastic woman. And she just tapped into something, and it was supposed to just be a short G-spot demo for the class. And it ended up being like 2 hours, I lost track of time, but a very long period of time where she was working with me. And it was the first time I almost female ejaculated. Like I felt myself on the edge of it. And she was doing this really intense technique of twisting and in and out. And I suddenly felt like all of this intensity that I was feeling in my G-spot needed to be brought up into, like somehow just brought up into my chest, into my heart. And she just took her hands and swept up to my chest. And at that moment, it was like an explosion happened. And I just started this laugh, cry, laugh, cry, laugh, cry. And I think the whole room was shocked. They've never seen anything like this before. And to know that those possibilities, I've talked to other women who've had a similar experience, either when ejaculating or having really intense G-spot stimulation, where they start just uncontrollably laughing or uncontrollably crying or having a combination of both.